Most people would like to raise their satisfaction in life higher, like to feel more loved. We want to enjoy being alive, full of vitality. We know we can remove barriers to feeling loved and develop feelings for feeling consistent love. This is really a phase of transforming human nature. August 6, 2010, I had a vision about transforming human nature. This was more than imagery. I asked Jesus to come visit me in the meadow. He came, not the Jesus of history, but a Jesus figure. I was a shriveled human representing humans today. He led our journey, flying. I became whole as we flew. Now we could find ways, and that's what we were trying to do, to change human nature and create a new kind of human. But then a huge wall blocked us as far as we could see in both directions. Large, thick walls repeatedly came sliding down. This Jesus figure went into a frenzy, like sharks feeding, as if his actions were being sped up a dozen times on a movie screen. He put his fists through the walls and then began ripping them away with passionate anger, a being going wild with super strength. As he threw away the walls, I saw writings projected on them, and you can see them on the chart. No vision for creating a new human. Seems impossible. Never been done. Fear of creating a new kind of human. Obsolete myths. Inferior views. False beliefs. Church teachings. And so on. These things stop us from giving priority to create a new kind of human. The Jesus figure sealed the large hole open and then said, humans must have freedom. You are not free. If humans are going to become the way they are designed, they must remove the barriers and then exercise their freedom. I think this applies almost 100% before this century's out, but we need to interpret it. Through the hole we entered, I was baffled. In open space, we saw egg-like lights glowing each size of a large house. Linked to each other with white tubes of light, we went up to one full of energy with a shell of white flame. We could not enter it. One of the eggs broke open and poured its contents into a substance below, and then went back to incubating. As we moved below through the gray matter of 50 feet thick, we felt a strong presence, a feeling of goodness, peace, love, purpose, creative urge, great freedom. Far below was the earth ready to be recreated. I knew the vision was about humans being driven to recreate ourselves. We were being called upon to find ways to remove the destructive forces within us, feel greatly loved, and become free. Let's explore further the possible meaning of this vision. We are to rid ourselves of any beliefs, habits, obsolete ideas, fears that keep us from recreating humans into a new kind of being. We start removing those barriers and the barriers of our shadow and everyday hurts. I'm talking about three kinds of barriers. One I've just mentioned. Now I'm going to the second. Carl Jung would say that America has a shadow. That's why we are warlike. Much of our violence comes from not facing our shadow, that is, within us personally. Our shadow festers and grows, often leading to greed, arrogance, exploitation of others, desire for power, control, injustice, and violence in thoughts, words, or actions. Now I'm quoting Carl Jung. The shadow is repressed tendencies. It is present and real. It is often tragic to see how blatantly a man bungles his own life and the lives of others, yet remains totally incapable of seeing how much the whole tragedy originates in himself and how he continually feeds it and keeps going. A while back, I drove to Kansas, 400 miles round trip, to hear one of the 2 or 3 top research people in peace, Johan Galstung from Scandinavia. And the place was packed, but I was able to ask him a question, and he dwelled on it. And I said, what religion of the world would you say has the best chance of making the world peaceful? And he said, and I'm really shortening this, Christianity, too violent, no. Islam, too violent, no. Buddhism, too passive. And then he said, if we use the techniques of Carl Jung and his disciples, we need to confront ourselves personally, and as a nation. United States needs to confront itself as a nation and face that shadow and bring it to consciousness. So combine Buddhism with confrontation. He says meditation by itself will never bring world peace. And he was emphatic. Here are some everyday behaviors I've observed. They may or may not be part of our shadow, but they keep repeating themselves and suck out our life like giant mosquitoes. You know, it seems to me they just hang on and hang on and hang on. Let's look at a few of these. Defensive behavior. Projecting blame on another. Wanting to... I'll look here. If I get away with the microphone, it doesn't pick it up. Refusing to forgive immediately. Feeling cheated, often worry. Not feeling peaceful. Any judgment by you about another. Thinking critical or unkind thoughts of another. Feeling attacked by another person's words. Feeling wretched about self. They haunt us. Even now, we can shed the effects of such behaviors, not let them stick to us, but we need technical help to replace them systematically when they appear. Scientists, psychologists, and technicians need to have passion and determination to develop technical ways to assist us to move our shadow and these hurtful behaviors into our awareness, help us face them, and make it healthy and whole. This they can do. This is their responsibility. There are many ways to do this. For example, programmed computer chips can be inserted, linked to a computer, a gene or two could be altered. Sometimes when I image, I invite people from history, and one of my favorites is Hypatia. Hypatia was appointed head of the Neoplatonic institution, school in Alexandria, Egypt. Her father was leading person in the library there. She was the most brilliant mathematician in the world at that time, the most brilliant scientist, and the most brilliant philosopher. And the people flocked to Alexandria to study under her. She didn't dress like a woman. That irritated a lot of people. And she didn't act like a woman. She was despised because her thoughts were so different. She was riding in her cart in 415 when she was murdered by preachers or monks, 415, for her beliefs. Recently, I imagined her spirit, and I dialogued with her on paper. And she revealed a group of neuroscientists during this 21st century appearing in a frenzy. You got that word? Frenzy? Caught up in their excitement from their research and experiments in which they were actually modifying the human brain, building on how the human body often rejects foreign tissue from grafting. These scientists develop ways to get the brain to recognize and reject thoughts that might harm the health of the human organism, rejecting any thought that might interfere with the flow of energy in the body. They also, she said, explored how we can feel greatly loved, and I think that's up there, by investigating that substance that the Jesus figure and I walked through in the vision. They found that when this love increased in ourselves, our negative unconscious beliefs, got that, negative unconscious beliefs. Willis Harman, head of Noetic Institute, says that's a number one problem in the world, negative unconscious beliefs. Self-criticism and fears lessened and lost their power. Then forgiveness of self, if needed, became automatic. Love toward others increased and natural forgiveness flowed like cleansing water. One of the most influential scientists of last century was Teilhard de Chardin. His quote's up there. Someday, after we have mastered the winds, the waves, the tides, and gravity, we shall harness for God the energies of love. Then for the second time in the history of the world, man will have discovered fire. It's like placing a harness of straps on a workhorse to mobilize its horsepower. He seems to mean that when we have obtained the technology, then control love and give it direction and scope. Use technology to attain this lofty love. To our surprise, the Spirit will follow our modification of our brains. You get that? When we modify the brain, the Spirit follows, not the other way around. We have the tools and know-how. Now do it. Most major religions believe that we are loved by God and that God cares. However, most of us don't feel this love consistently. To feel this love, many people meditate and pray. That's good. For those who are Christian who holds fears of tampering with the brain, I believe that Jesus wants humans to redo ourselves. He sees science and technology as a form of prayer. Ways to make it happen. You ask, Don Tilley, are you saying that everyone can feel loved almost all the time? Why, that would reduce crime and violence and provide such happiness? Yes, I'm saying. Ken Kais told me when I spent 2 weeks with him in Coos Bay, Oregon, and we talked about the techniques he had developed, placed in his books. He said, nothing external can keep a person from feeling loved. Yes, said Howard Rheingold, editor of the Whole Earth Review. He would say technology that affects our perceptions provides the potential for trance, intoxication, and ecstasy. In other words, yes, we can constantly feel love. Yes, we will know telepathy soon, physicist Freeman Dyson predicts. I think such telepathy will allow us to pick up the brain waves and attitudes of others who feel deeply loved and find them becoming our own. Yes, many church leaders would say, each of us yearns for God. We yearn to accomplish something important and please others. Just accept by faith that we are deeply loved by God. No, I would say. That's not enough for me. We are designed to feel loved. Let's make it possible. We need to feel love now. I want my brain to constantly tell me the truth that I am loved. Are you saying that everyone can feel loved almost all the time? Yes, I say. Yes. There will soon be hundreds of ways that the brain can be modified for feeling loved. Already we are replacing or modifying genes in the body, altering DNA and chromosomes, modifying brain neurons and clusters with both lasers and other lights, inserting many computer chips, using injections, taking pills, probing. Any of these methods could carry the message of uplift and let us know that we are loved and can love others. So neuroscientists, technicians, engineers, psychologists, psychiatrists, please be compelled to find the ways. But wait, it's not a mechanical revolution, but it's one of the Spirit. It's the liberating spirit of humans. We are taking charge of our lives for the first time in history. We are working in cooperation with the Spirit of the universe. Remember what the Jesus figure said in the vision? You are not free? What would it be like for you to become truly free in your thinking and relationships? Complete freedom. Imagine that. What does it mean to remove the barriers and become the way we are designed? See, we are designed to be whole people. What does it mean to exercise our freedom? Perhaps when all the energies of one's life comes together, we find our identity like standing bear, standing before the judge, exclaiming, I am a man. But what does it mean to exercise our freedom in a world that lives violently? Let's look deeper. No one needs to hang on to destructive views about own self like, I am inferior, I'm not good, I am my mistakes, I always goof up, I still don't please my parents, I'm a failure, I'm addicted, I am not loved really.